This is Living Well Women, holistic living for sisters over 40. Happiness is holistic. It's multifaceted. It's physical. It's internal. It's my diet and my emotional state. It's all tied in together. Michelle Obama. This is a show for sisters, about sisters, by me and my sisters, Dr. Javon James, Keisha Dixon, and C. Renee Washington. I am Linus Woods Mullins, and we are Women Living Well.
Yes, I am C. Renee Washington, life coach and mindset maven, creator of the Midlife Manifest Sister Mind to get you thriving in the second half of life.
And then we're going to go to Linus.
Hi, I'm not really looking at the camera. I'm still trying to sign on to Facebook so I can share with my tribe. But my name is Linus Woods Mullins, and I am a certified holistic wellness and living expert for women over 40, and also the creator of Living Well Women, this wonderful show with these wonderful women, and the new author of Power Up Superwoman, and also the talk show host and creator of the Wellness Journey Live, and publisher of Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond e-magazine.
Well, thank you for sharing. And Keisha.
Keisha Dixon, creator. Keisha Dixon, the tapping queen, creator of the Monetize Your Mind Success System and author of Visibility Vixen for Sisters and White Girls Too. And I am so delighted to be here. And I want to say hello also to Kathy Rain and Linda Quarles. Thank you so much for joining us.
We're in the Midlife Manifest. Hey, ladies.
Hi, and of course, I am Dr. Drayvon James, okay? I am Dr. Drayvon James, creator of Everyday Peace with Dr. Drayvon James. I am an author, Freedom is Your Birthright. I am a talk show host and actress, and super delighted to be here sharing with you this evening. It's going to be an amazing show this evening, because we're talking about disappointment. Who here has not been disappointed? We have all been disappointed at some point in our life. Some of us are dealing with disappointment right now. And so we're talking about how to deal with that, because it's a real part of life, dealing with disappointment. And we're really want to engage. And if you guys tap in, if you feel comfortable sharing sources of disappointment that are going on in your life right now. But that's what we're talking about. Our topic is disappointment, and how do we deal with it? Because we all know that in every life, a little rain will fall. So it's what we do with that rain that makes all of the difference. There's a phrase that comes to my mind right now is one monkey don't stop no show. You guys probably heard that phrase 1,000 times in your life. And that's what comes to my mind when I think of disappointments. You know, as a mom, as a wife, as a career woman, an actress, I could give you 10 trillion disappointments that happen in the day of the life of an actor. But it's all part of the journey, and we can't let disappointments, I hope that you're not letting disappointments change your mind or stop you. They can reroute us and have us rethink our plan. So we're going to talk about that today. And we're going to be very, very candid. And I hope that you feel comfortable typing in the chat and sharing with us. So I'm going to kick it off to my sisters here. If somebody wants to talk about how they handle a disappointment, or if you want to share a disappointment.
I'll start. And I wanted to kick it off reading, and this is from an old
Val.
This is from an old book, Iyanla Vanzant, Acts of Faith, and this is a message to me that connects directly to disappointment. And it says, you can look ahead, you can look behind. What is written cannot be changed, and that's from the Oracles of Ifa. And then she goes on to say, we cannot change the color of our skin. What we can change is how we feel about it. We cannot change a pain-filled past. What we can do is change how it affects us. We cannot change how others may feel about who we are and where we've been. What we can change is how we see it, how we use it, and how others use it to our benefit or detriment. The past has already been written, but we have the power to write the future based on who we are and what we do now. Only we can write a future based on self-support and respect. We can write a future based on how much we have grown. We can write a future full of strength, peace, wealth, and love. All we have to do is what is right now. And the mantra is, I am choosing my future by what I do now. And I wanted to share an old disappointment and a recent one to show that growth is possible. And my old disappointment example is the ending of my marriage. You know, I was married for almost 21 years and left my marriage and ended up divorced. And that was very disappointing to me because I never saw myself as someone who would be divorced. And even though I made that decision because I knew that I had to make that decision, it still was a very disappointing thing for me. And I felt like a failure. And, you know, I received a lot of outside judgment too, but, you know, beyond that, you know, it was more how I was judging myself. And it took me, you know, quite a while to get over that, even to the point where when I met my current husband, who was going to become my current husband, it took me a long time to believe that he was real. You know, I thought the universe might be tricking me, you know, because I really thought I should be punished for getting a divorce. That's how deep it was for me. And so, you know, I have let all that shit go. And
by the way, and not to interrupt, but we have a listener, Val Jerome, wanting to know, is it okay for him to listen to this because he's a heterosexual male? And I would say absolutely, not a problem. So go ahead.
Look, I would say absolutely, and get some of your friends on.
Right.
In fact, everybody share, and we love hearts. Some hearts and some love here.
Yeah. Yes. So recently in my a business related disappointment, I had applied to get a podcast started, and I got the message yesterday that, you know, they didn't choose me. And I mean, really, that disappointment lasted for about a minute, because I have grown enough to know that a denial is just that, a denial. It's not about me. You know, and I just asked myself, are you going to do a podcast? Yes, I am. I'm just not going to be doing it with them. That's all that meant to me. That's all that meant. So, you know, to encourage you to know that, you know, disappointments will come, but yes, we can get through disappointments, and we can get through them pretty quickly, you know, and the more you do the work. And that's why I'm a firm believer in mindset work and messaging myself and encouraging myself, and, you know, doing different practices, meditation, tapping with the tapping queen, Keisha Dixon, and, you know, reading positive things and, you know, continuously affirming myself and believing in myself and doing the things that supports that belief. And this, to me, that is at the crux of being not to say that you won't experience disappointment, but that you can walk yourself through it.
Very powerful.
I love that. And I'll share a disappointment. I think a lot of times when we think about disappointments, we think about external disappointments, but I can say recently, my behavior was disappointing to me, because normally I am a person that you can never tell if I'm displeased with a situation. I've done years of practice on myself. But recently, you know, I just had enough, and I was less than enthusiastic in a situation where I felt I wasn't rude, but I was less than enthusiastic. I let it be known that I got better things to do with my time, and I'd rather be somewhere else. And and I was disappointed at myself when I left that engagement, because I felt like, well, I generally want to leave every situation with people feeling upbeat and having some type of positive exchange. And I don't think the exchange was negative, but it was definitely flat and neutral. And I had to forgive myself for that. And I actually did tell the person afterwards, you know, it was just not a good vibe. And although I really did not enjoy the event, I don't want to leave that type of impression with them. So that was something where I was disappointed in my behavior because I felt like I could have, for lack of a better term, faked the funk a little bit better. So I was disappointed in that. And then I will also say I had an external disappointment where I was wanting to speak at a certain event and it didn't happen for me. And I would say no, a delay is not necessarily a no, but it definitely was delayed. And I'm still working with that organization to maybe find another date or something of that nature, but that was a bit disappointing. But I think for me, the way that I deal with disappointment is over the years, I have learned that, and I want to say this as positively as possible, but my expectation of things, I don't put expectations on stuff. I really try to live in the flow of life, which is big for me, trying to be in that place where I'm just open. I just really want to be open. That a no doesn't mean what I think a no means, and a yes doesn't mean what I think a yes means. I just kind of flow with it. And that has been my practice, and to keep affirming myself, as C. Renee says, one of my practices is self-affirmation all of the time. Because when we affirm ourselves, I believe that it allows us to handle disappointments better, and it helps to leave other people in a better space. In disappointment.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, my most recent disappointment happened around fall last year. I was doing my first inner circle. And I was so excited because I knew that it was going to be powerful and impactful, and everybody would want it. And what ended up happening is I'm sending out, doing my lives. I'm sending out my emails. And one day, and interestingly enough, people were contacting me and then signing up to work one-on-one with me rather than joining the inner circle. And then one day in the midst of this launch, one person on my email list unsubscribed. I don't know who the person is. All I know is my count went down by 1. And you would think that, you would think somebody had passed away. I broke down and I cried. I swear I cried for about 5 hours, on and off, on and off, on and off. I felt so rejected, like a deep level rejection that didn't make logical sense. But I know that that's how my body was reacting. I reached out to my mentor, Margaret Lynch. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. This is awful. They hate me. I was a mess. She talked me off the ledge. We tapped. I journaled. The next day, I really tried to be strong. And I couldn't do it. I could not do it. So I went for a drive. I ended up going to this beautiful crystal and rock store. And so I did a little shopping, and I came out of the store. And at my feet, literally, as I'm about to open my car door, at my feet was this encased, wrapped citrine. And citrine means abundance. If you study crystals or rocks, it symbolizes abundance. It's that yellow stone. And it was at my feet. So I picked it up and I'm like, oh, I get the message. I am supported. So I took my citrine that was at my feet home. And literally hours later, I was like, I wanted to fill my inner circle, and all I got was a rock. so that's how, and that story really amplifies how I deal with disappointment. I honor how I'm feeling as I'm feeling it. I'm honoring the sobby, messy, me. And I'm also honoring, and I do get the message and I am supported. And then I honor the recurring frustration as it comes up, and I tap through it to get to the other side. And on the other side, there was such a calling in those feelings of disappointment, because I was able to process through how unsafe it felt for me to step out into something new. I was able to process through, okay, this isn't really a rejection. It's just that it wasn't the right fit. And it's made me stronger on the other side. And I've been able to assist my clients through the same type of thing. They may not be as dramatic as I was about it, but but I'm able to help them on the other side. So that's my recent disappointment.
Linus, anything you?
I'm sorry?
I said, did you want to share anything about disappointments?
Yeah, I was just waiting for my turn. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. So I've had many disappointments, but I guess my very first disappointment was when I first got started in the business, because I really had a heart to not just help women overall, but women of color in particular, because I felt that there was so much that was needed there from a health perspective and from a wellness perspective. And I was royally rejected with my messaging. They didn't think that my message was basically worth being compensated for. And it was fine as long as everything was free. But the minute I, wanted to charge something, then there was no one there. And I was really disappointed. And I was also disappointed because the message seemed to resonate more with my sisters who were not of color. And I couldn't understand, why one section seemed to care about wellness and the other section didn't. But I quickly found out that, and I have to reconfirm this all the time, or reaffirm this all the time, is I can't be vested in the outcome. I do what I can. I put the seeds out there. I do what's necessary to run my business, but I can't be vested in the outcome. And I know that everything happens for a reason. And sometimes people are in your lives for a season, for whatever it is you're supposed to get from it. And while I know that in the course of the 10 years, I've helped thousands and thousands of women, not all those women have been my clients, but that's okay. Because I know that, God has something for me. There's a plan. And right when I'm thinking that, maybe I'm not making a difference or I'm getting disappointed in the outcome of something, there's something that happens. The universe kind of conspires to, God brings something to me right at the right time. I had a meeting today with someone that I almost didn't keep the meeting, thinking that it wasn't going to be what I thought it was going to be, but I went ahead and kept the meeting anyway and ended up with a speaking engagement in Ohio in about 3 weeks, where they're going to send for me and pay me to speak, but at the time I didn't think it was going to be anything, because it didn't quite meet my expectation of what I thought. And what I've learned, and I keep learning time and time again as an entrepreneur, but as a woman in business, but just as a human being, you never know what it is or how it is that God is going to bless you. But when He puts something before you, even though you don't understand how it's going to all add up and what it is you're going to need to do, sometimes it's not all about you. Sometimes it's about you're being used for the greater good for something else. And my word for this year, for 2019, is reap. I know that this year I'm going to be reaping all those seeds that I've sown over this last 10 years. And I don't know where it's going to come from. I used to tell my children all the time, hi, Lisa. I used to tell my children all the time growing up that when you're helping other people, you do it with the heart of the fact that you want to help, not that you're expecting anything in return from the person that you helped. Many times you get blessed from a completely different other source, something that you're not even expecting. And I have experienced that time and time again as an entrepreneur. And that's what keeps me going, is the unexpected, and learning not to be vested in the outcome in terms of what I think is going to happen, and to kind of just wait. And in fact, I sent you all some scripture today about waiting. Well, actually, a devotion about waiting. There's value in the valley. In fact, Ayana Van Zant, that's not the right, Miss Van Zant, I'll say, wrote a book about the value of the valley, the value of basically being in that place in your life where you are disappointed, where your expectations haven't been met, and you're just kind of like waiting to get past that moment. But the value is that in your waiting, you develop that patience muscle, which is so necessary when it comes to really reaping all the seeds that you've sown. If you think about it, you don't stand there and wait for the seed that you plant to germinate and grow and then sprout. You plant it and then you move on, because you know it's going to take a while. Well, many times the seeds that we sow in our lives are very much like that. And if we are standing there waiting for it to happen, it doesn't seem to happen, and we get disappointed and all that. But if you plant the seed and walk on and go to the next thing, I have found that many times the gift is in the growth while you're waiting. so that when you really get to that point where all of a sudden it germinates, it's a true celebration, probably much more than it would be if it had happened right then and there when you thought it was supposed to be happening. So that's kind of what I've learned about disappointment, that it's to grow.
I love that concept of, you didn't say it directly, but you kind of alluded to it in my life, is the whole flow concept is, and that has been, I think my life's journey has always been about flow. People ask me a lot of times, like, how could you have a doctorate degree in pharmacy and be an actress and be, I'm working in a hospital on Thursday, I'm in New York auditioning on Friday, and then I'm speaking somewhere on Saturday. And I think life is all about flow. And that is what makes the disappointments, it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the growth. Growth happens in the valley, no matter what we think. That is where it happens. And we all know that if you want to grow a big, beautiful oak tree, you take that little bitty vulnerable seed and you put it in the dark, deep, moist dirt.
Yes.
And that happens with us. When we, in that disappointment, we can call that the valley. It happens all the time, but we don't pay attention a lot of times to little disappointments. You get to the hairdresser, she's overbooked. These things happen and we just flow. And I don't think that, at least for me, I try to keep everything sort of even. Nothing is bigger or smaller. Everything is important. And nothing is the end of the world. Nothing is the end of the world. And so I think each of us here, gathered here today, can say we've had some things that look like major disappointments. And there are times, I know in my life, that I've said, I don't know if I can bounce back from this one. My mom used to always say, God never puts more on you than what you can handle. And my response was always, he needs to get to know me a little bit better. Right. But the truth is that what doesn't kill us, and nothing has killed us because we're all still here, definitely makes us stronger, makes our story a lot more colorful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
More useful to someone else that we will mentor either directly or indirectly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to tag on to that because, what Lena said about, I call it divorcing myself from specific outcome. Absolutely. I have learned to not get all tied up. And that is a huge way to not let disappointment derail you, because I just always know and believe that if I get a no, it's because something better is waiting on me. And also the power of connection is huge for me too, that, I have, people in my life. And so when I, got the no on the podcast, I texted all of you. And immediately you responded with words of encouragement and lent us into scripture. And so, and I have, wonderful, women in my life who do that for me. And even if I don't necessarily share what I'm disappointed about, just being around my sisters, I find that so encouraging. And I always get uplifted by that and encouraged by that and strengthened by that. So, I definitely believe that deep and powerful connections are a part of overcoming disappointment. Yes, Value in the Valley. I have that book too. Iyanla Vanzant.
I do too. I love that book.
Yes. There's so much value, and to me, it is about the journey. I mean, that's a cliche, but that's where it is. The journey. We reach destinations, but then we keep going because we're still on the journey. And so, yes, we will hit a dip, we will hit a stone, a mountain, or whatever. But this is where the richness of life is.
Exactly. And I wanted to say something else in particular about disappointment in midlife, since we're all midlifers, and part of the focus of our show is, addressing midlifers. I think sometimes when we get into midlife, the idea of going through more disappointment just isn't attractive. And so we kind of self-select out and don't even try to make that effort. But I think from my experience, because I started, like I said, 10 years ago into a completely different field at 51 years old. And I think one of the things about doing something in midlife is that you really do get a chance to use all those experiences, all those key teachings, all that wisdom that you've gleaned up to now to help you with the more positive outcome. And I think that because of all the life experience, you realize one thing, that if it doesn't work out, this too shall pass.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
when you are in your
Preach.
20s and your 30s, what I call the hair on fire period. You know, my kids just got out of that hair. Everything's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, you're not saying hopefully, oh my God, in 45, 50, 60. You're not saying that anymore because you realize you've survived so much that this too shall pass. How you're feeling right now, the disappointment that you're experiencing, the things that, you know, the deep valleys. Lisa said, yes, those valleys can be deep, been in one so deep. So thankful for the sisters that love on me during that time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the sum total of your support system, as Dr. Drayvon likes to say, your tribe that pulls you through, you realize that this too shall pass and you'll survive it. And you come out on the other end even wiser than you were before. There's nothing that is so, we're not so evolved that we can't still learn. And part of putting yourself out there in midlife is keeping you engaged.
Yes.
It's keeping your brain active. It's keeping you open to new experiences. It's keeping your essence alive instead of just sitting in that rocking chair, or I'm not knocking this, but just, you know, just doing the thing that it's expected of you. Go to line dance, go play cards, go to a movie. Well, what if you decided to do something like really different that you haven't done before? Go to a painting class or a meetup to meet new people. Those
I love meetups.
yeah, like Dr. Devon goes to meetups. Maybe
I love them.
challenging yourself and not being so worried about whether or not it's going to work out or not, and just be excited about the fact that you can do this. That if it doesn't work out, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I turned 60 in August.
Woo-hoo.
And I left corporate at age 53. If you had told me I would be running a business, I would have laughed in your face. I just never thought that would be my path. And but yes, like Lynette says, I mean, now I can't imagine it not being my path.
Yeah.
Because it's just opened up a whole new world for me. I mean, it's just been amazing. All of the people I've connected to, the things I've learned, the experiences that I've had, and that I'm looking forward to having in the future. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right, Linus. You know, I was talking in my, I did my Sister Mind is my 6-month program for helping women create this kind of change in their lives. And so I had that session right before this. And I was telling them about a friend of mine who, you know, she's taking pilot lessons and she's 62.
All right now. That's awesome.
Yeah, pilot lessons. So, you know, age is a number, and you can take yourself out of life because, you know, some people take themselves out of life in their 20s. But we definitely don't. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie.
Yeah, but we definitely don't have to tell ourselves that we're too old for anything. I went to this class, new exercise class this week called Pound, and it's drumsticks. And oh my God. And let me tell you, she said, you're going to be sore tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I already go to strength class. So the next morning, I felt like a 18-wheeler hit. An 18-wheeler.
You use muscles that you didn't even know you had.
Right.
Oh my gosh. But it's a good thing because, yes, exactly. You're using muscles you didn't even know you had. And so that's a metaphor for life, that you continue to expose yourself to things because you tap into things about yourself that you didn't even realize. You know, you hit brain neurons that you didn't realize that could still function. So yeah, there's just so much to gain by continuing to expose yourself to not letting disappointments derail you. I had a friend who was really good at baking cakes and beautifully decorated cakes, and she was doing it well and it was getting business. And then she did a cake and it failed on the way to the event, and she just stopped. It was such a big disappointment that she stopped. And so, you know, I think about that because we can just let a disappointment totally shut us down. And that's sad.
Yeah, I think that is so important to talk about too, because I think one of the things Lena said, you know, we as we get older, sometimes we can feel like I've already done that. I'm so over disappointments. I'm so over heartache and pain. And I want to put myself in this little bitty box and just here and remain.
Mhm.
As tempting as that may be for those of us who have had heart-wrenching disappointments in our lives, and that's probably all of us, but as tempting as that may be, what we miss out on is the beautiful things that happen along the way in this life, in this journey.
Right.
So, yeah, there will be disappointments. And one thing I would like to hit on before we close is we talk a lot about doing the work. And I know as a person who I've been on this journey of peace. That's my thing. I do one thing and I like to say I do it well, but I do that one thing. And I always used to hear people say, do the work. And Iyanla Vanzant, who I had the pleasure of spending time with when she was in Baltimore many, many years ago. I didn't even have children then. My oldest is 18, so it was many, many years ago. And she was constantly talking about doing the work. And so for the benefit of people who are on the line and who may not know, like, what is this work that we talk about? And I can just tell you, the term work is a trigger for me. When you say do the work, I'm already out. I'm done because I work. Boom. Right? So it doesn't excite me when you say you need to do the work. But I just don't feel engaged. Like you want me to do one more thing. But this work, I think I like to call it do the love.
Yeah.
Do the love. And I think I would love it if we could share with the people on the line, the sisters and the men on the line today, about what are some of the things that you do? I'll use my term when you love on you through your process. What are some particular things that you may do? Anyone want to?
That's interesting. I just got through writing a blog, or actually it's a newsletter I'm working on right now, talking about ways to enhance your self-love and your self-care. And I think self-love is so huge for women as we age, because we get so many other messaging that says that our value isn't as high as it could be because we're not as attractive, we're not as smart, we're not as active, we're just not Miss It anymore because we're not the youth that so much of our society celebrates. So one of the things that I do to celebrate me is to celebrate the successes. Keisha brought this up to me once before when I first met her, and I've started doing more of that and stop getting disappointed if no one else celebrates it. I celebrate it. As an entrepreneur, one of the toughest things is when you do have these breakthroughs and there's no one around that kind of gets it. And even you explain it, they're like, oh, okay. So I've learned to celebrate those successes, and usually my celebration involves some kind of movement because I am, in my other life, I was a dancer. I'm still a dancer. When I found out I was going to be going to Ohio in March, and I wanted to be able to, go outside my office and talk to my coworker. There is no coworker. I'm the coworker. So I got on and put on, I said, Alexa, I want to say it too loud. She might come on. I said, Alexa, put on some celebratory music. And Gloria Estefan came on, da 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 da. Girl, I was dancing around my daughter's apartment like I was nuts. If she had been here, she would have been like, Mom, it's too loud. But I turned it up as loud as I could. And I had a great time. I did. It was a small thing, but yet it was a big thing because I kept thinking to myself, I'm almost 62 and I still got it.
That's absolutely right.
You definitely got it, Linus.
You definitely right. You got it.
Yep. So I celebrate the small successes.
Yeah.
So anybody else want to share like what some of the work they do to get through?
Yeah. It's interesting because I was on the phone before this show with a guest who's going to be on my radio show, What About Me, on Sunday, and she teaches a workshop on goals and habits, and she has a catchphrase: "The work is fun. The work is fun. The work is fun." And the work is fun. And what I do, the work that I do, is I really try to sit and connect with the 5-year-old or 6-year-old version of myself. What does she want? What does she want that's fun? Well, 5 or 6-year-old Keisha always wanted to be magic and a miracle, and she also wanted to be on Soul Train. So you've probably seen a few of my videos on my timeline. 51-year-old Keisha can't dance. But the person in that video is 5-year-old Keisha, and she's doing her thing. And that's what I do, the work.
Do the work. See, Renee, anything you want to share?
Yeah. I'm big into dancing, and the celebration thing is huge for me. I am big on celebrating. So yes, I will. If I celebrate by myself, yes, I'm typically dancing, and I am always encouraging, the people in my circle. If I don't care what it is, we need to go celebrate. We need to celebrate. I just believe that we need to stop and take a moment and acknowledge. So I absolutely believe in celebrating.
So I can tell you why. One of the reasons why we're all connected. You guys may have heard our story, how we just all came together magically. But we all have this sort of thing. Because for me, when I need to deal with a disappointment, I dance. I love to dance, and I love music that's really, really positive. So I'm right now into an old song, Keep Rising to the Top. If you guys don't know that song or can't remember, please put it on right after this. I was just dancing to it before I got onto this show. And that helps me to remember. I really like songs that have positive messages in it.
Yeah.
That song has a positive message. So no matter what is happening in my life, I know there's only one direction I'm going. So I'm going to keep rising to the top. And and I love all kinds of music. It could be rap music, it could be opera, country music. I am a music person, so I love to dance. And then I do my love on myself. If you have not taken Epsom salt baths, they are so cleansing, and I mean internally cleansing to detox the insides. I make sure I do that as part of my, work. I call part of my love with white candles for safety and all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of times when discouragement happens in my life or disappointment happens in my life, it has a tendency to want to attack me in an area where my environment doesn't feel safe.
Right.
You don't feel safe. I don't know how about you guys. When you don't feel safe, you do some crazy stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
Going and you're like, who said that? I said that. Right? And so that happens. Woo! I know that it's time to turn up the music and start drowning out anything coming against me as a way, because those thoughts, when you have disappointment in your life, especially if it's something that really hits you in your passion, and you just like, are you kidding me? Am I, and I know from working with Keisha, the Tapping Queen, I had never really heard this phrase before. I'm sure I heard it, but it didn't resonate with me. But now I honor myself on everything.
Hello.
I honor I was a positive person. I like positivity. It makes me happy. But I am right now, when I'm disappointed, I will say, Rayvon, you're disappointed. Yes, I am. I'm more than disappointed. I'm pissed. I will just let that out, so that it doesn't fester inside, because that negativity, if it festers and sits there and you're not doing the love on you, that stuff will come back at a most inopportune time when you need to be on your A game. You'll find that disappointment coming back, and like Renee said, the lady who dropped that cake, it'll come back, and your next thing has nothing to do with the cake, and it'll remind you, you dropped a cake 6 months ago, you ain't all that. Right? And so you don't want that to sit in there. You got to purge that out and say, okay, I see you. Let me put the light on this disappointment. Let me keep it in perspective. First of all, I'm going to keep rising to the top, because that's what I do. To the top, because that's what cream rises to the top. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to love on myself with some practices. And I really encourage you, if you, disappointment for me, it really works on me in the midnight hour. So it'll wake me up. I'll be up at 2 o'clock.
Yes.
And I'll be replaying it. And when you take Epsom salt baths before you go to bed, and I mean a lot of Epsom salt, it's like 4 cups. If you don't know about it, it's a lot of Epsom salt. But it will detox you. So try that, read about that. It's just regular old Epsom salt. You get it in the Walmart. It's really cheap, 8-pound bag. You have a lot of disappointment.
So, I like that with lavender oil and Himalayan pink salt.
Yes, indeed. I'll go on to the next. Yes, I have the lavender oil, and I sometimes use. I like jasmine too. But I use the lavender oil, especially at night when you need to decompress.
Yeah,
it will help. That's part of my, love, or that's part of my doing the work on myself. Is that music? Music changes your state of mind. There's a lot of stuff about music too. I like drum beats, but anything with a heavy drum, but be careful with going into drums right away because drums are a tool of defense. So you got to calm yourself down because you don't want to go into war with yourself. So
How did that knife get in my hand?
how did this knife? So, and exercise with dancing is a part of exercise. Those things are clinically proven, by the way. When you exercise, you raise endorphins, and they're called happy hormones. They will help to detox your body and take down your cortisol levels. When your cortisol levels go down, your creativity goes up. That is amazing for dealing with disappointment.
Yeah, Lisa typed in that she tells herself, "You got this," and that's right. I mean, we have to
Yes.
speak to ourselves.
That's
You know,
right.
we have to
Self-talk.
Yeah, speak
That's
positive.
right.
Because there are I read this article recently that says because of the constant negative tape that runs through most of our brains, that you need to overlay that with 5 positive experiences. So you need to to overlay that, you need to it takes 5 positive experiences to overcome one negative thing you're telling yourself. So that means you need to stay focused on celebrating everything all the time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, small stuff.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
we're celebrating that we have our next self-love explosion tour date.
Yes. Yes, we do. It's so exciting. Yes, we do.
In Birmingham, Alabama.
Yay! We're coming to
In Birmingham, Alabama. So yeah,
April 20th. All
job,
of the
Lisa.
neighboring states as well. Y'all need to come from Georgia and all the Tennessee, whatever's close to Alabama, across the state lines, and come and see us in Birmingham.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's be amazing.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get to Alabama.
Yeah.
It'll be
April 20th. April 20th. So there'll be a lot of time for people to get there and see us in Alabama. It's going to be amazing.
That's right.
Self-love.
It's gonna be amazing. Book your tickets.
It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, Lisa says Epsom salt is a staple in her house. Me too, Lisa. Let me tell you, I am that weird lady in Walmart who has like 4 or 5 8-pound bags in my. Everyone's like, what is she doing? But I don't want to run out of it. I don't want to run out of it.
Okay.
Well, we are good. I think that's a wrap for us. Ladies. We're going to close. And I don't know if we did this in our last show, but really, really quickly, we're going to go around Robin and tell one positive thing. Oh, our Bitly link is up. So please hop over really quickly. Like us on YouTube. Give a shout out there. Subscribe on YouTube. Get your friends to subscribe. A tribe is probably as valuable as money and maybe a little bit more. Trust me.
Absolutely.
You need a tribe with you. It takes a village to do absolutely everything.
Yes.
Oh, and Dawn Maurice, she says, Alabama, that's a road trip. I'm looking for details. All right.
Okay.
All right, come join us.
Drive in the car, get in your car, and come
Get
to
on your
Alabama.
BMW cameras and drive on down. You can pick it
Yes.
up.
Please join us in Alabama. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is.
We're going to wrap with.
We got lots of good restaurants in Birmingham, and in fact, we are tagging on lunch with the Fab Four after the event. So
That's right. You got to come and check us out. Come and if you're coming from out of city or out of state, get yourself a little hotel because you're gonna want to probably get some rest when you finish with us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a good time.
Friday night, because it's going to be Saturday morning. We're going to send you all the details. It's going to be Saturday morning. And so, come in, make it a weekend. Treat yourself.
Let me just tell you about if you want to eat good in Alabama, the food is amazing.
Birmingham
I
is
heard that the oysters are amazing out there.
Yes. Bring your appetite.
I will.
Absolutely.
Gary.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap with that. Before we do wrap, I gotta tell you guys, this is an amazing part of my week. Being able to be with my sisters here and all of the women that come back week after week. This tribe is amazing. It is amazing. So if nobody has told you all, I absolutely love each and every one of you from my core.
Yeah, we are celebrating you for sure.
Yeah, to be able to come here and just let go And it's an amazing thing. We don't get that everywhere.
Yes, then Rich, get that plane ticket, girl. Come on.
Yes, that's right. Get the ticket. Join us. So we're going to just start with C. Renee, an amazing thing that you've done or experienced this week.
Okay, well, I really am, because of the way that, as you know, the way that this all came together for this event to happen in Birmingham. That's my celebration and my amazing thing, because God was definitely in it. So yes,
Won't he do it?
yeah, he will do it. Yes.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. Based off of last week's show where we were talking about connecting with others, I reached out to a woman that lives in my area. You know, I recently moved here, lives in my area, that I hadn't talked to since 2016. And we're having dinner tomorrow.
Oh,
Good for you, Keisha. Good for you.
Very
That's
good.
right.
Very good.
Mhm.
And
Liz?
I'm really excited because I have spent the last week and still have a few more days left with my daughter, my oldest daughter, in DC, and I am having a fabulous time. It's just been so wonderful to connect with her friends and see how well she's doing. In fact, I'm at her place right now, and it has just been absolutely a wonderful. I really needed the reset and the energy from the East Coast, and I'm telling you, ladies, we've got to come back here to DC. There are so many people who want us to come that in fact, I'm going to a book club tomorrow in DC of women who are wanting to know more about when we're going to come to DC. So we got to definitely get that on the books for sure. We already have boots on the ground. So I'm really excited about
Wonderful. And before I give my coup, I wanted to say we have Wanda Abney on here, and she was at our Sacramento event.
Yes. And Wanda is a big deal. You need to follow her.
She is a big deal. She'll be on my show in a couple of weeks. She's a big deal. She says, yes, excited for you ladies who are speaking, and even more excited for the women who will be in attendance. You will be blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wanda.
With us in Sacramento.
Radio show. She came to the event. Thank you, homegirl.
Thank you so much. So my quick coup for the week is that, ladies, I did it. I hosted my first virtual online event, and it was amazing. So it was relationships from pain to promise. I will be hosting it again. So if you missed it, don't worry about it. We'll be doing it again. But it was amazing. It was my first time doing a virtual online. I'm hooked. I love it. So I'll be doing more of them.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to be on Drayvon's show. I gotta say that.
Yes, my guest on my show.
So I'm excited about that. So yeah, she's going to interview.
Please join us for the show. It is the Everyday Peace with Dr. Drayvon James on Unity Online Radio, where C. Renee is my fabulous guest this Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please call in with questions. We're an intimate tribe, so we would love to hear from you.
Yes. And
Lisa called a friend too.
Yay,
Lisa. Okay, she wrote me a book and a text and she got my message. Good. So yes, reach out to your friends. Make those connections. Reach out. Make new ones. Reach out to old ones. Yes, that is definitely something that you need to add in your life. It definitely helps with overcoming disappointment and celebrating.
That's right. Absolutely.
So a big thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. We will see you next Monday. Hopefully we will not have any technical difficulties, but we thank you for hanging in there with us.
Yeah,
you got average, ordinary women with extraordinary goals on these lines. We don't have a tech expert, but we're trying to become one.
That's it. We love you guys.
Bye. Till next Monday.
Thank you for tuning in to Living Well Women. Join us next time when we will discuss other topics of holistic living. Nothing is off limits when it comes to sisters supporting sisters. Please subscribe to our YouTube page by clicking the link below so you can stay updated on all the details when it comes to being a holistic living well sister.